Welcome back to the channel. I'm about 18, 19 hours fasted. This is black coffee. I usually have 1 cup of coffee. But when I wake up in the morning, I am immediately drinking water. Maybe an hour or so after I wake up, I'm drinking water. And I switch to sparkling water. And then I do black coffee. So I cannot do more than 1 or 2 cups tops, because it just gets me very jittery, and maybe at times it can trigger my anxiety when I haven't slept too well. So that combination. But this is not that video. Although I talk about intermittent fasting, sprinting, running, walking, obviously, walk and talk videos, a lot of those on my channel, nutrition, sleep, relationships. This video, once again, focuses on vices. And this is not the first time I'm covering the topic of alcoholism. And before I even start rambling and riffing off on alcohol, just remember, alcohol is really not the enemy at all. In fact, alcohol can be very fun. Of course, it can be a blast. And some of you may say, define fun. Well, yeah, duh, fun, as in let's drink and get wasted, toasted, right? But I say fun in moderation, because it definitely can be an icebreaker. It can definitely help you relax a little bit, right? But then you have people like myself that for the most part of my life, I turned to alcohol from what started off as, wow, this is my first drink, to all of a sudden realizing I could pound it so much and black out and everything just felt great, to the point where I made it my go-to habitual, a ritual, to the point where I would force it onto others without knowing that I was actually projecting myself onto others, like the glass, Pam, pour it down with that aggressive face, and here you go, bro, chug it, man, have a shot, you big ass Lucy. You know what I mean? I went from being such an innocent kid, and I would say my first drink was Bacardi rum. It's still one of my favorite go-to drinks. I love it. It's simple, Bacardi and Diet Coke. And before you know it, it's game over. So why am I starting this video? So my earlier days, I was about 22, 23 when I first got my, sort of quote unquote a blessing into the dance group that I was in. And these guys, as talented as they were, but they were all drinking, pounding alcohol. If you know about the South Asian culture, like, we are very culturally speaking, very rich. Also, we guilt a lot of each other. We guilt us into family traditions and values, right? But yet we show up with such unhealthy habits, including some of our food and how we abuse it, right? You don't find many South Asian Indian men, especially even older men like myself, looking this way. So for the record, you're just joining my channel, I am 50 years old. I just turned 50 in July, so my heydays are well behind me, but I invest heavily in self-improvement, and I would say cutting out alcohol almost completely from my life is the reason why I have reversed my aging and honestly taken my health, anxiety, and vices. I've kicked it out of the door, but I've gotten control of my life for the most part. And a lot of people look at me today as a success story overnight, but this is I would owe this to the choices I've made over the course of the last 7 years. And why 7 years? It's because it was about the age of 42, 43 when one of my ex-girlfriends from 20 years ago actually made a comment that really hit home. And by the way, this girlfriend of mine, she's in her mid-40s. And she's still hot. So she's the only one that actually remained in shape and looks amazing for her age. She would probably pass for someone in her late 30s, to be honest, maybe mid 30s. So that's the one that got away from me. But anyway, so we're here. If you're interested in my dating life, I have a playlist that shares my stories about dating, my views, and I share my journey with my Colombian girlfriend in there and talk about all of that. So she's on there. You can go check it out. And she was fine as hell, at least for me. So going back to my ex-girlfriend's comment from 20 years ago that said that you, and said my name, Ranil, you really, until today, have no chill. Like, you don't know when to stop, do you? And she didn't realize what she did for me that day. And we still talk. We're great friends. And we've dated 3 times in our lives. Once when she was going through her divorce, and I know that's a story for another day. Um, but that comment hit home. I remember being hungover and pretending like life was good, and I was taking my dog for a walk in San Jose, California, thinking that I'm gonna. I was still buzzed and I was still feeling great, but I knew that I was. You kind of hit a high, and then when you crash next day, you just not just the recovery, but your body doesn't quite handle alcohol as well as it once did when you were in your 20s and even 30s. Guys and girls, remember, I am talking about age 43. So if I continued that route of the way I was drinking, I wouldn't really be alive today. I really wouldn't. Not to mention, I was always wondering why I never had the body that I have today. Like, why am I not getting in shape? I have moments today where I can see my abs and then I cannot see my abs. And honestly, I'm lazy because I'm at 11, 12% body fat. I look pretty good in my clothes. People think I'm ripped as hell. I'm actually not. It's just that one more last piece of the. So I'm fighting a shoulder aggravation, a rotator cuff issue. And then I roll my ankle. I made a video about this a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, while practicing Brazil capoeira martial arts, and I rolled my ankle. It's swelled up, so it was about a grade 3, grade 4 sprain. And so I got to make sure I get complete clearance with myself and within. Only you know your body, right? So I can start sprinting again. That's the only reason why I'm sitting at 12%. Otherwise, I could easily, not easily, but I could get to 10% and I could see my abs. I have done a lot of videos on my channel. I'm shirtless. You can see my abs are visible on those videos. So it's not like I haven't had abs. I'm just comfortable right now. So going back to this topic, I was always wondering why I could never get in the best shape. If I see some of my pictures from the past, I've done alcohol videos and alcoholism videos and my addiction to it. You could see I was visibly chunkier, but for me, I couldn't see it. And that's the thing about vices is when you are abusing it, you just don't see it. Similarly, I've had a couple of girlfriends of mine heavily into drugs, cocaine, substance abuse with alcohol, and their face, they get sucked in, and they still think they're God's gift to earth, and there's like the prettiest of them all, and the fairest of them all, and they're not. And they don't see it until you call them out, and they're in denial. And I've had one of them actually look at themselves in the mirror and says, I don't see anything. Their eyes are wide shut, sucked in. I'm like, what happened to you? And so my point is that when you're going through these periods in your life, and I'm talking about 2 full decades of alcoholism, damn, I made it. And I'm here, right? I mean, think about the toll that your kidneys and your liver, think about those organs alcohol in one sense is poisonous. It's a poisonous substance if you think about it. I remember one of my doctors making a comment that alcohol is the one thing that you should not get addicted to. And if you have an abusive relationship with it, seek help. It always stuck with me. But I was still pounding it like I was 27, 28. At 43, I'm well past that stage where I should not be doing that, right? If you're wondering why I'm drinking coffee through a coffee straw, is because gum recession and the acidity in your teeth getting blacked, right? I get teeth cleaning done every 4 months, and I have also receding gums because I had braces. So I'm fighting periodontitis, so I have to stay on top of it. Otherwise, this is really bad for your gums, and eventually you lose your teeth. So I've really maintained, good teeth over the years, and I brush twice a day. So I'm giving you many elements and aspects of my life here, but alcohol had me by my nuts. And just because I was a musician, just because I was touring and I was in my prime of music, well into my 40s, even at 40, I produced some really good. 42 is when I did Chameleon music video shot in Las Vegas. I did Back to the Future type of a video, exactly almost that car. And I was you couldn't tell by looking at me because I still looked in shape. I mean, I was still training, guys. So I think I was able to offset a lot of my bad habits because of the way I trained, and I still believed in. I still do. I had a very active lifestyle. So, but I would be dedicated to the fitness lifestyle, but then I would also be dedicated to alcoholism. So I would flip flop back and forth. Still, it's not registering to me that what are you running away from? A lot of times, guys, we are running away from something, and we are running towards something that is an absolutely a disaster train. You know how many murders are done inadvertently because of alcohol? You know how many people blame alcohol for their indecisiveness and stupid decisions that could have saved many lives? Some of the most horrible decisions I've made is because of alcoholism. I got one girl, one of my exes, knocked up because we had not just a blackout sex, but this was like, I don't even remember having sex. Imagine that. And I know we have all been there. Imagine. And she said I kept going, so that was a good thing. But I mean, I'm joking about it, but the honest truth to all of this is, think about that blackout period. What else could have happened outside of sex? And I asked her, did you like it? Like, what happened? Like, was I wearing protection? Did I finish inside of you? And she said, you didn't wear a condom. I'm like, what? So that's my shock. Like, I don't even remember the sex. All I remember is waking up that morning, and she was on my sleeping on my chest and looked at me and just said hi, you know. And then her comment was, "You were on something last night," you know. And we, of course, the pillow talk, right? But the bedroom talk. Let's just put it to the side for a second. I remember the confusion on my face, thinking, "What happened and why is she here?" Because when I met her that evening, I already went on another date with this other girl. Nothing happened. Like, but we had romantically, we were sort of seeing each other, and nothing had happened. Like with her, and I was already drinking with that chick downtown in Alameda, where I was living, California. So my ego was like out of my ass, out of my head, and I'm heading back home walking. So I've always had a system, right? This is another thing. Is this, my bachelor pad is where I had my home, I had my mansion, and I could always go downtown and have fun, right? I still have that set up until today, but I'm a lot more responsible. Like, I decided to turn on the camera and start talking about alcoholism again, because I know that we're all suffering from it. And I've gotten myself out of this habit completely, where I don't even miss alcohol, right? So I remember going back home after that date was over, and I was like feeling myself. I put on the music, and I'm like, I ate a little bit of food, but then I looked at the glass and rum, and I just started pouring another drink. I was probably 6 drinks in, and then comes my actual girlfriend, right? So we went out again. Thankfully, we had dinner, okay, and I'm already sleepy. But then I was like, Robert, we're gonna have some more drinks. Let's go, you know, let's go. And she was fresh, so she was ready to go, and we're already drinking downtown. Right now, I'm mixing beer, wine, liquor. And I don't even know how far gone I am. And it's Friday. So we meet a bunch of people downtown. False promises. All of a sudden, this dude has become my brother, right? But then she's checking out my girlfriend because she's got nice legs. She's wearing a skirt, you know. And of course, I know I'm going to get laid. So we're walking back home that night. Everything is great. We get home. We have one more drink. And I just remember, black the F out, man. Just black the F out. And then my consciousness, few days later, now I'm having these. Imagine a movie, Life Behind the Reels, right? Imagine a movie. Let me give you the movie analogy, where this main character, or just a character, has lost all memory. They have lost all recollection of their old life or who used to be. Amnesia. They wake up in an accident, they can't remember. But a few years fast forward, you start getting the like this flashes of like, and you see the character like, whoa, I'm acting now. See, this is my acting. Like I I'm beginning to remember. Oh my god! And then you ignore it. And then that night sort of came to me in doses. Now I'm starting to get vivid images and sounds of that night, of actually us having sex. I remember the neighbors now, like pounding on the wall, boom, 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 right? I remember the voices. I remember how loud it was. And I remember how aggressive I was. Oh, and of course, I asked my girlfriend, like, "What? Are you okay?" She goes, she loved it, but she was also scared. She didn't know what I was on, and she said that I just wouldn't stop. Like I kept going, and of course, it was the endless sex night. And I don't remember a thing, but now I'm getting these memories back, like in doses, right? Next thing I know, 2 weeks later, she makes sure that we're not drinking on that night, and she wants to talk to me. I'm like, oh shit. She goes, hey, just relax. I want to have a conversation with you, right? And she's already got a kid. And I'm trying to give it away, but she comes. I admire her the way she approached it, and we sat down on the couch, and I offered her a drink, and I'm already drinking. I'm already had two Bacardi drinks, so I'm feeling nice again. 2 weeks later, I ignored completely what had happened. I've gone back to my habits again. And she goes, I'm pregnant. I'm like, yeah, whatever. She goes, you don't remember? I was like, no. She goes, you insisted of finishing inside of me. And I was telling you don't, but you kept going. And then we went on and had a couple more rounds, and I finished again. What was going to happen? What do you think? And I didn't want to upset you, but I'm pregnant. I was like, have you confirmed? She goes, no, it's not the confirmation. I just know my body. She's already had a kid, right? She goes, I just knew it that a couple of days later, something just kind of happened in my stomach where I felt the biology. Like this was different. And it's the same feeling I got when I got pregnant with my child. And I am like, this can't be. I don't want you to get pregnant. I don't want kids. Like how? Right? So this is probably in my mid 30s, right? So I asked her, obviously, what would you like to do? I'm not in a position to take this on, but what would you like to do? It was my first reaction. Empathy set in. I started caring for her naturally. She's my girlfriend, and I really did like her. And so she said she needed a little bit of time, and she went back home. And, she was living with her parents. So she made the decision to abort the child, uh, the fetus, right? Embryo, whatever that is. But I supported her all through the way. Like, it's you have to. You can't be inhumane about it. And I'm like, tell me why you are aborting it, because my reasons are different. Yes, I don't want to be in this position because you already have a child, you already have baby daddy issues, and you're living with your parents as well. You have a great job. She's making more money than I was, but her child, and she was still breastfeeding. I was like, do we want this? I'm not in a position to do so. So it was kind of come to Jesus moment for us, and thankfully we were on good terms as well. very supportive. I even offered to go with her to the clinic and be by her side and hold her hand. And she said, "No, I got this. I'm going to go alone." And she did it. She cried a lot. We didn't see each other until 1 week later. The following weekend, she came and we just ate dinner. We went out, held hands, and just kind of a romantic time. We didn't really talk about it. 2 weeks later or so, she came back. We were hanging out. This is my girlfriend, so we're steady, right? A couple of weeks later, she comes back. We talk. We go back to drinking. And all of a sudden, we go from drinking to make up sex. Like, it just happens, right? And of course, I'm wearing protection. And then we talk after that, right? And then we planned this grandeur trip to Las Vegas. We planned a trip and we came to Las Vegas. We had a blast. I was driving back home. We drank more in Vegas. Driving back home, we drove. She flew, I drove. She flew through a work kind of a trip and extended her stay. I was already here partying. We met, celebrating, right? Driving back after 3 days here, and I asked her to move in with me. What a happy ending. But that later would end up being a very disastrous thing. Oh man, I hope you're enjoying my storytelling here. I love the coffee, Colombian coffee. I wasn't planning to share this story, to be honest with you, but that's an element and a space and a time in my life where I paid dearly. She was never over that. Right now, she holds me responsible, and I understand. Thankfully, at that time, we're talking about nearly 15 years ago, relationships and going steady. Women actually had a lot more class. We didn't have OnlyFans. We didn't have all this modern day entitlement stuff. Men were men, women were women. And we need to bring that traditionalism back. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And when the laws change, I may get married because I truly believe in good stories like that. But the laws are not going to change. There's nothing in it for the government to change it to favor men because how are they going to make money, right? Drifting here, but going back to alcoholism, I continued drinking even after we broke up. When I was going through depression in that relationship, in practically all my relationships, I was happy, I was not so happy, and I've always had a tendency to settle with girls, women that were okay looking, back in those days. I've had flings with some really good looking women though. When I was performing and touring and as a dancer, there was a lot of, underwears being thrown at me as an artist. And if you present well, if you're a good looking dude, that's just kind of part of the life. But I wouldn't consider myself, I'm better looking now versus my 20s and 30s, to be honest, because I was always chunky. I was 190 pounds, close to 200 pounds. But I could move, man. I think a lot of these things kind of came with a combination of two pieces and parcel of all the same makings, is because I've always trained hard. Martial arts, I was always going to classes, training, tournaments, fighting, competition stuff, right? Dancing. So every day I was doing something like moving, weight training, right? And getting ready for my shoots and my shows. It's probably the single reason why I never got a modeling contract is because I never really had the abs. I got my abs a little later in life. Like in my 40s is when I finally could see my abs. So there's hope for all you 40-something year also those men that are about to hit 40, that this is really possible. Like you can flip your life around. But the direction I'm taking this video is, and there's a lot of times porn is another one, right? But alcohol sets the stage for a lot of things that can go wrong once you lose control. Once you lose control, and when you fill a room of people, right, that you don't know, things could be disastrous. And thankfully, back in those times, I made it out alive. I had good people around me. I had one of my best friends, and he was an alcoholic too, like from my boy band days. So And when you combine romantic relationships, like God forbid you're cheating or being cheated on, like, and in crime of passions today especially, it's skyrocketed. Like, you just don't know what the other dude is on. You don't know what he feels, what he knows, right? These girls can get you in a lot of trouble and get you killed. You could be offed. You could be unalived, right? And I've been in all of these situations. And I'm thankful to be here, and I really, really mean that. Right now, my kitchen is on the other side. I have beer and my cold beer. It's triple digit out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I could easily be sipping beer and talking about all of this. But I have such a hard stop with alcohol. It's insane how I went from that guy, right, to this man. Obviously, you would think by in your mid 40s to at least where I'm at now, turning just a fresh new 50, that you would have your life together. But the sad part is that there's a lot of men well into their 50s, 60s that never get over this, and they eventually die because of alcoholism and the problems that it leads. It opens up gateways to other issues, right? Once I started learning the human body and the anatomy, autonomy of the body, I began to appreciate it. When I realized the capabilities and the athletic tools and gifts that I have been blessed with, but I've also worked for, and I started seeing how how I look on certain things, right? I started I started studying diet, nutrition, and answered my own question as to why I'm not in the best shape of my life. Could be. That's where sports like soccer came in the mix, and I fell in love with Ronaldo's training, Messi's training, David Beckham, right? Then I started following Tom Brady's diet before the Super Bowl and how he became a champion, right? Then I started looking at Khabib Nurmagomedov in UFC, right? Connor, even the old school for Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock, Chuck Liddell, all of them. I'm going way back. And of course, today we have some phenomenal athletes and their training tools and mechanisms. But I started Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. How could you forget that? The Last Dance. Their dedication, their cheat code was to make it look easier. Like make all of this look easy, and then so when they step on the court, game time, they leave their opponents in the dust. They want you to think that this is easy. Boy, it's not. Me looking this way and presenting myself, I am a final product. I have got a lot more work to do, and it's a never ending process. But I'm going to swear that alcohol is going to control my life, dictate who I am becoming and who I will be in the future. No, alcohol does no longer has that effect on me. And sometimes you need reality checks in your life. And my reality check came when I had hernia surgery. Hernia is a very open topic on my channel, near and dear to me, and I share my journey. In fact, I just did a video a few days ago, 4 years post hernia. I made a playlist for hernia itself, and it's helped a few people coming onto my channel. And those comments, I've had more comments on hernia and the procedure. I've had a couple of people thanking me for it and inquiring about it than any other video. Oh, I would say not getting married, also dating, relationships topic. That's also garnered. Anxiety has also given me a lot more comments on those videos. But here I am at this age, giving back and paving the way, that drinking until blackout was something that I aspired to do. I thought it was the coolest thing to do. I thought out drinking the next person and then out drinking their friend and friends and showing off how much I could be didn't necessarily make me at all. In fact, it did not make me a better man. It did not make me a better person. It did not make me cool. In fact, a lot of people started distancing themselves when I started fading off and blacking out. A lot of people pulled away from me. So I went from an innocent kid to that guy that, I lost good connections because of this lifestyle. The people who remained with me stagnant were my boys from the back in those days when I met them on stage in the childhood days, and not even childhood, my adult days here in California within music, but they never grew. Some of them are off and on with alcohol until today. My best guy, my best dude, my best boy, my ace, he's dealing with a health condition, so he doesn't his lifestyle has changed as well. And I would say, out of all the boys that I've known in the past, I am the one in the best shape of my life, and I've on my own trajectory. And the thing about this is that once you start detoxing and slowly realizing, first you got to have an epiphany. There's got to be an awakening, a life or death situation, even, or a moment where you lose a possession, you lose loved ones, you lose something to life, or something tragic happens where you start a much needed intervention and review of your own life. At work we have performance reviews and whatnot, right? Like, you need to do that with yourself. And once you start checking in with yourself and start, age will one show this to you. Age will teach you. Time will teach you that these habits are it's going to come back and haunt you, guys, right? And so, if you haven't learned your lesson, I think these life will teach you. You're gonna have to face this one day, and it's either you face your intuition, your voice. You will know deep down inside how depressing this is. How different, when people say chug it, they're dying inside. They're dying inside. They're all whack, right? It's not fun. I understand we're gonna go through these phases, but the thing is that for some of us, these phases never stopped. Like, we never grow out of these phases. I'm here to tell you that you can, and it's okay. If you want your life to improve, if you want your health to improve, it's okay. You can get out of this situation. You owe no explanation to nobody to walk away from their license, because I'm here today. I'm at the top of my game. I've had some ailments, like some nicks and tucks and some current issues going on, but that's just, I'm dealing with it. I'm not leaning on alcohol to help me deal with it. Now, do I drink here and there? Yes, I do. But I know when to stop. I know when to pump the brakes and say, yeah, the 2 is enough. 3 is enough. Lately, I've just not been drinking. I eventually, you train your palate, your blood panel, right? You just kind of, your body starts rejecting alcohol in a way that you didn't know it could, because you start eating healthier. And once you start drinking a lot of water, once you start really structuring your life, your sleep suffers a lot. You start prioritizing all of these healthy habits. You realize how little you need alcohol. I was always the life of the party. I always had a lot of energy, with or without alcohol, because I was dancing. I was already making people better. I was escaping my father's Parkinson's condition and what I was feeling, the anxiety, my immigration issues, the post-traumatic stress syndrome I was experiencing back in the day, of the fear of being deported. They're coming for you, right? And I don't hide this. And my mother made some stupid decisions in her life and cashed my chips in for her benefit. I think she kind of wanted to, if I had to predict this, she wanted to divorce my father and leave him behind here in America, right? And find a new life. And she kind of resembles very strongly the modern woman in feminism, the toxicity of that movement. She exuded each and one of those characteristics and traits. And my father did everything he could in his power to keep her happy. While he dedicated his life to her, she was still entertaining suitors out there. She was very flirtatious with other men in front of him and behind him. And she would talk shit about my dad. If you want to know those stories, it's on my channel. You can take a look at Parkinson's playlist. It's a lot of it is in there. And then I talk about this, and I give you gems and nuggets throughout my entire video history here since I started my channel. She would also mistreat us as little boys, right? So there was a lot of shaming. There was a lot of self-sabotage, sabotage growing up as kids. A lot of, like, you're not good enough. And she would also compare you to other kids and their athletic capabilities, not to fail to realize that I was very capable. And it's crazy enough, when I look back at all those men that she admired, and all those kids that she nurtured and watered their gardens, These kids had their own family and their own homes, and they had a support system. But she would be a mother to those kids. But behind closed doors, she would take a shit in her own home. There were three, but we have there are three brothers and her husband. So she was around four men. She took a big fat shit in her own home. Then this happened for decades, and no one knew about this personality, the narcissism, the narcissistic that she was, and she is still. And then when my father was struck with Parkinson's, I don't think she saw this coming. And I would also call out the fact that she used his story, Parkinson's, while she did a lot for him and suffered as well. She suffered. She paid the price. But she made this story about her. Somehow she was still the victim. Somehow she was still the victim. I've already confronted all of this with her, so you just don't get to this age, guys, and share and be, you don't have stories. Otherwise, there's no wisdom. There's no depth in my life outside of fasting and working out and training. This is why my channel is different. Household matters as such, right? Your family values and your family background have a lot to do with why you are the way you are. Am I fully out of that spell? I still struggle with it, guys, but I'm better today. Talking like this is therapeutic. Putting myself out there is therapeutic. Bringing this back into full circle, I hope you understand, and I know it's not an excuse, but this is what I was running from. I did not want to face myself is because I hated myself. And when you hate yourself, you abuse yourself. You abuse your space. You abandon yourself. You abandon your spirit. You put stops and blockers and you turn a blind eye to your intuition, your inner calling, to the point where you want to kill yourself. And that's what I was. I wanted to commit suicide. Blackout drinking. I wanted to kill myself. There were days where I didn't want to wake up. Blackout drinking. That was my escape. And of course, there were people around me that I shared these stories with, my best boy, some of my best, buddies of mine, die hard. It's good to have men, true bond like brotherhood. These things do help, but they were no good either. They were drinking, man. Half of these conversations were drunk. But during sober time, they knew I was going through it, right? Thing is, no one's going to have the answers for you. That's okay. We don't have answers to our own problems, let alone other people having answers. I didn't even seek the help that I needed, the solutions I needed. My father was already declining. He was my hero. I'm crying inside right now. I'm not showing it to you, but I'm crying inside of what he went through was horrific. It was horrific. It was horrific, man. I wish this disease, this condition upon nobody, upon no one's parents. But I lost my parent, the only one that had my back, to Parkinson's. While he was alive, I saw him die a slow death. And I saw my mother, while she took care of him. This was a recipe for disaster in my home. It just went all downhill. We went from having a mansion back in home, back in Fiji Islands where I was born, a 5-bedroom. Downstairs, we were renting out. My father had it all. We built that home from scratch. We went from the riches to the ditches. Single-handedly, my mother brought down her entire family. If all she did was nourished my father and his dreams and his ambition, because he pulled her out from the village. She was a nobody. She was definitely a supermodel. Like, she had the looks. I get some of this too, but guys, my father was also very handsome. And for those of you that's saying, oh, these genetics, okay, sure, but at age 50, guys, I have worked hard to maintain all of this, okay? My point in all of this is I know that we're all running away from something, our demons. I'm sharing my demons with you, never being good enough. And I went from never being good enough to all of a sudden leaving all my peers and competition in the dust. This guy behind me, Kobe Bryant, I took on the Mamba mentality. Don't F with me persona. Tough as hell, right? I started leveraging training during my music video shoots and films and acting and gigs and modeling. and started taking that lifestyle a lot more seriously. So all this walk and talk videos are a little bit more tamer versions of me, but I have the switch. I have the switch of going into that Mamba mode when I need to. But you got to be careful in life as you get older. Your body starts talking to you. So I have a relationship with my body to understand where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are, and how pain shows up and teaches you. That's called wisdom, not alcoholism. Not alcoholism. And if you're still running away from your demons, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, your dog, your work, your coworkers, your best friends, acquaintances, your therapist even, they won't be able to pull you out of this. It's gonna be you. You're gonna have to have an inner intervention with yourself and your personal life. You're gonna have to face the truth, because if you don't, life will happen and it'll come knocking on your doors. And like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky, right? One of his later movies says, life will beat you to your knees and keep you there if you let it. Life is already tough. Life is already short. It doesn't mean you need alcohol in your life to enhance good times. This is good times. This here is good times. The journey is the championship. The trophy is the destination point, right? Like we get there and then we lift up the cup, like Kobe Bryant says. But the real championship is the process, the journey from the caterpillar to a butterfly. Don't you want to be free from alcoholism? Don't you want to chart the way for the next? Don't you want to be the great story of your life, right? And that's what I wanted for myself. And the minute I made that choice, I realized how much I respect myself. I realized how much more I wanted to draw boundaries, that people are not going to mess with me. I realized the power of silence because I have changed. I realized I started feeling my spirit coming to life. The flowers, the blooming, the blossoming, these walk and talk videos, it's happened while I have been doing YouTube. It's happened in this journey. I talk about the mockingbird. This mockingbird would follow me through when I launched this channel. It would follow me, and it's still there. I see these as a sign. Supernatural things start happening for you, with you, to you. You know, this ability to turn on the camera and talk this way came over time. And I've caught myself consciously as I record these videos and as I talk. I would rather stutter, get choked up, swallow. I would rather keep this in the video than saying, well, today, guys, well, you know, I was going and I used to do this in my other videos when I first started. And just like any bad habit, if you want to get rid of the ums and ahs and get confident in your speech delivery, you have to do this. On the other side, I'm expecting a couple of people listening and making a difference in the. So I'm talking to a little green dot here. But most importantly, I am talking to myself. Most importantly, I'm talking to my inner child. Most importantly, I'm giving back to someone who needed it, you know, and there could be another one of me out there somewhere in this world, even if it's just one person. I know that this can touch someone's lives, and this is not so much about the views or the subscriptions or this channel. This is therapeutic for me, and there's no way I can talk like this for nearly 45 minutes plus, right? You'd be surprised how beautiful life is when you're sober, when you're clean. And yes, I can drink again. And yes, I'm going to have a whiskey on the rocks. Yes, I'm going to have a Bud Light with my food, you know, Michelob Ultra, whatever. I can have an IPA, but I can sustain that buzz with 1 or 2, 3 tops. I don't need to go overboard. That's when I know that I have won. I'm winning this life, this battle with alcoholism. And if you are someone struggling with alcoholism and you would like the help and you think this video has helped you, then reach out to me. You know, I make a point of putting this on every video that I offer one-on-one customized coaching. I know a thing or two about life. I'm not a life coach, but I have a way of helping other people through words in my real life day to day. I don't charge anything like that, but I don't even know what this client of mine may look like. But I just know that if you're someone that wants to connect with me and this story resonates with you, then yeah, you will reach out to me. It's social media handles these days are very easy to find if one chooses to do so. But at the very least, my job was to put the story out there and have some pieces of this resonate with you, whoever you are. Nobody ever wins, guys, when you're drinking to nausea, till blackout, right? You're hurting yourself, but you're hurting your other loved ones too, people who look up to you. There are people still in that same position that cannot get out of it and break the spell. And I encourage you to face yourself. One day when you're sober, start walking. Just walk. Just get into the habit of walk. Grab a gallon of water, a liter of water, a bottle of water. Start walking. Start having those conversations. Put on your headphones. That's what I do. Listen to self-healing podcasts and motivational speakers. Aaron Dowdy is one I recommend. He changed my life from his videos. I have not paid for his courses, but there's a lot of free material that he puts out there, right? The power of your soul, your spirit, manifestation, right? Visualization of what you would like yourself to be, breaking free of all these vices that have chained you, and that's why you're not successful. You are not where you want to be in your fitness life is because you're drinking too much, which leads to eating like shit. No structure in your life, no planning, nothing. Aaron Dowdy, Doughterty. Because I think I heard you say, what's the name again? Aaron Dowdy, and that's how you spell the name. You're welcome. Okay, guys, I love life and I want to live a little longer. I want to live more. And I feel like I'm 25. And the only way I can get there and sustain this energy, this spirit, this life, this energy is by living a healthier, clean life. Are you the best version of yourself? It's a question for you, not for me. Till the next video, guys. Mamba out.